Playing the piano is something that many people aspire to do, but there is also a belief that it's either something that you can do or you can't do, depending on if you have the gift. But I'm here to tell you that is not true. Ear training is a skill, and skills can be developed. So you are in luck. We're going to help you with exactly that in this lesson. So you may have heard that some people are born with perfect pitch, and this is true, and good for them, but the rest of us mere mortals have to put in time and effort to practice and develop our skills. So let's dive in and look at some ways that you can improve your ear. Many people count themselves out saying, I'm tone deaf, but the truth is, if you can tell the difference between notes that move up and notes that move down, you can train your ear. So why is training your ear important? Well, because when you have a sharp ear, you can learn how to play songs that you love by ear without having to rely on sheet music. So there's some really great little tips and tricks that we're going to go over in this lesson that are going to help you do exactly that. So the point here is that you're not tone deaf, you just might not have a good enough understanding of intervals yet. So that brings me to my first point, intervals. So an interval just refers to the space between two notes. For example, if I place my thumb on C and play an F, we have the distance of 1, 2, 3, 4 notes, and we call that an interval of a fourth. If we were moving from C to G, we'd have an interval of a fifth. And you can just keep going that way. So let's start from the beginning. C to D is a second. Here we've got a third. Here's our fourth, our fifth. This is a sixth. This is a seventh. And now this is an eighth, but we also call it an octave. So learning to recognize these intervals will take you a long way when it comes to ear training. For example, if you can recognize that a fourth sounds like, here comes the bride, you'll be able to quickly identify, oh, that's a fourth. So when you hear that interval occur in one of your favorite songs, you don't have to think about which notes to play. You can just find your starting point, locate that interval, and boom, you're suddenly playing a melody. So when it comes to actually applying these skills with intervals to songs, you're going to first look at a chord progression, which is the basis of all popular music, and then you're going to use your knowledge of intervals to place the melody on top of that progression. So a chord progression is basically just a series of chords. So when you learn different progressions and get familiar with them, it helps you to tune your ear a little bit better. So when you're listening to songs, pay attention to sort of the lower note that you're hearing, and pay attention to the changes. Are the notes or the sounds moving up? Are they moving down? Are they big changes or small ones? And when you're thinking that way, when you're just listening to music, you're going to be training your ear when you're not even at the piano. Once you've figured out the basic chords of a song, it's time to move on to the melody. And the best thing about melodies is that they're usually made up of the notes of the chord. So if you already know the chord, so say their song starts on the C chord, you have a starting point for figuring out your melody. Try playing the root, the third, or the fifth of the chord that you're playing to figure out the starting note of the melody. So chances are it's going to be one of these notes. So we can use something really simple like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, because everybody knows that. If you're playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, it goes like this. Twinkle, twinkle. And I can just hear right away, because I've learned my intervals. I know my interval of a fifth, I can recognize it, but I also can tell that the distance, the space between those first two notes is a little bit far apart, and I'm using the three notes of my C chord, which is the chord I'm playing, to help me make some educated guesses about what those melody notes are going to be. It really helps to know your song very well before you attempt to play it by ear, because if you can sing your song away from the actual track or original recording, that means you know the song, and it'll help you to sort of have a reference point as you're, picking and choosing your notes to try out. And then finally, know that you're going to make mistakes, and that's one of the best teachers, because our ears don't like the wrong notes. So when you play a wrong note, your body, your ears will remember, you'll avoid it, and you'll try something else next time. So take all of this information, combine it, practice it, experiment, and have fun learning to play your favorite songs by ear.